views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, and thank you.
Check out Night Dreams' website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Michael W. Hall, the Paranormal Lawyer.
Whoa, yes, we are back, folks. This is Michael Hall and Night Dreams Talk Radio. I hope you're enjoying the weekend wherever you are as this cold weather is gripping the entire nation. I'll tell you what, even in Seattle, out here, they're predicting snow coming in the next few days, and people are not used to that kind of stuff out here in this moderate climate. So that's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, actually. We don't get that very many snow days, so I'm sure the kids are waiting for it to show up. But it's very, very great to have you join us tonight. This is, of course, February 2nd already, 2019. My goodness, the year is coming in like a roaring lion as far as paranormal and UFO disclosures are being made all around us. We got the ATIP program, the interesting things that are coming out about the metamaterials. We've got, disclosures happening right and left as far as military and high government officials mentioning the UFO term again, and the mainstream media picking it up big time. So without further ado, we're going to get into the meat of the matter tonight with Peter Davenport first. He's going to come on, and we're going to do some talking about some of the sighting reports that are happening all across the country. We've got some historical stuff, and we've got some things that are just breaking in the last few hours, Peter was mentioning. And then, I'll tell you what, my main guest I am just chomping at the bit to talk to tonight is Ron Morehead, the famous Bigfoot researcher. And we are going to talk about some of the Bigfoot sounds and potential language that the Bigfoots are using to communicate with each other and potentially even us. So Ron Morehead is going to be on after Peter, and I'm going to bring on a real special friend of mine, Kevin Beagle, for a co-hosting gig tonight with Ron, because Kevin is basically interested in the Fae and in historical kinds of things as far as paranormal goes, but he's also a big Bigfooter himself. Him and his wife, Sam, go all around the country at the conventions and do the habitat, experiments as well. So let's start with Peter, because Peter is just waiting to come on here with some interesting news, I understand. Hi, Peter.
Well, good evening, Michael and gentlemen. It's delightful to be back, and happy Groundhog's Day. I think today is that day, is it not? February 2nd?
Oh, it certainly is. What a great movie. I remember that with Bill Murray. Was so amazing, the fact that things just kind of kept cycling back over and over on Groundhog's Day. But it's my understanding that Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow and ran back right into the burrow. So we're talking 6 more weeks of winter, I understand.
Yeah. Well, we're having a pretty mild winter out here in eastern Washington. Very unusual for us. It should be 10 below at this time of year and time of night, but I think it's above freezing. It's a remarkable change from what I'm accustomed to out here.
Oh my gosh, yes, and I think you probably heard that we're set to get some snow here in the next few days in the Seattle area. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're getting it and we're not.
That's right, for a change.
May work its way to our neck of the woods here before too long. We usually are about a day behind Seattle on weather, maybe 2 days.
That's true.
We'll see it soon enough.
So tell us what's been going on here in the last week since I talked with you last.
You're right. In your introduction, you talked about the exciting things that are happening in ufology, and when you have a UFO hotline, that's certainly the case in spades. But one of the things I like to do, Michael, is go back to past sighting reports, reports from years and decades ago, and I'd like to share a report that came in just 3 or 4 days ago from a gentleman who lives in Rockland, Massachusetts, and he writes about an experience he had as a young boy, I guess. He was standing outside in the late evening. He estimates the date at April 21st, 1973. So we're talking 46 years ago. Was standing outside admiring a beautiful night sky, and he suddenly became aware of an object, a very large object. He estimates that it was equal to about 4 finger widths held at arm's length. So that makes it about 8 to 12, maybe 8 to 10 diameters of a full moon. Very large object. And he said it had 4 colors on it, principally yellow, which is part of the reason I share this report with our audience tonight, because yellow is a color, if I'm correct, yellow is a color that I rarely hear about UFOs, every once in a while, but it's not a color that predominates in the field. And it was apparently disc-shaped or shaped like a cigar, very difficult to distinguish between the two when the object is distanced from you. And the opposite ends of this object were red and blue. One end was red and one end was blue, and as it changed direction, those colors changed. So apparently the red or blue was the color associated with the leading edge of this object. He saw it for, he estimates, 20 minutes or so. It's a shame he didn't have a cell phone back in 1973 to photograph this, or a camera. And it hovered for an extended period of time. And the interesting thing is, shortly after he saw it, it was approached by 2, he identifies them as Marine Corps F-4 Phantoms, launched from the Weymouth Naval Air Station, which is nearby Rockland, Massachusetts. This is all about 40 miles south of Boston, Massachusetts. And the object suddenly didn't care for the environment because it accelerated and disappeared in the night sky as fast as you can blink your eye, he says.
Oh, man.
That's part of the reason I like past sighting reports, because they are every bit as interesting, in my opinion, as reports that come in for tonight, for example.
So, for instance, that is a report that you just received, was it, from 1973?
1973. April. He estimates the date at April 21st. So, he says it was very dramatic, and he's unambiguous in how he describes it, which makes me believe that it is, in fact, a legitimate report. And he points out that the incident was covered by the local Quincy Patriot Ledger, one of the local newspapers, I presume, from Quincy, Massachusetts. So, very interesting report. I mention it also because a lot of people are of the opinion that the breaking news of December 2017 about the U.S. Navy footage
Yes.
about the Tic Tac object that was pursued, I guess, not intercepted, but pursued by two U.S. Navy F-18s. We've all seen the footage, I'm sure, but these incidents are not new by any stretch of the imagination. They've been going on for quite some time. It just seems as though the government has decided it just may be time for them to start squaring with the American people on the UFO phenomenon.
Well, it sure seems like that's the case. They don't seem to be suppressing any of the stories that are in the mainstream media anyway.
Yep, and it's long past time that they did so, in my opinion.
Yes.
Well, I have another report here. It comes a little more recent. This is from the 29th of January, 2019. So I guess that makes it Tuesday of this past week. Twin Falls, Idaho, 7:40 p.m. local time, Mountain Standard Time. A gentleman writes that he was witness to two amber-orange lights streaking across the northwest sky from his vantage point. He writes that he was driving home from a private tutoring lesson, and he saw these two lights that were far enough apart that he could be certain that they were not affixed to the same aircraft, certainly not a terrestrial aircraft by any means. And they were headed northwest, and they were visible to him for only, he estimates, 10 to 20 seconds, and they just disappeared almost as fast as he could bat his eye. A very interesting report.
Oh, my God.
Another one, and it's characteristic, as you know, Michael, you and I have discussed this phenomenon of clusters of red, orange, yellow, amber, or gold lights. These reports have been coming in for almost 7 years. It started in late May of 2012, so we're coming up on the 7th anniversary of this phenomenon. And we have no idea what these objects are, and even MUFON and other UFO organizations that receive reports are receiving the same kinds of reports from all around the world. It's one of the most astonishing facets of modern ufology, is trying to understand what these things are.
Yeah. And, it's so interesting that they seem to, at some point, don't mind people watching.